Hello, and welcome to Weed and Grub.
I'm a little hoarse.
Haha. Squeaky.
Yeah, I sound like a squeaky door.
You do, or squeaky horse.
Yeah, a little tiny. Just right when I said a little horse, I then pictured myself as a tiny horse.
Like a pony, or
Like
smaller.
Like a tiny, like a Lilliputian, teeny weeny little Hummel figurine sized tiny horse, but with my face.
Like from that book, Indian in the Cupboard? Like a
Oh.
toy horse, or maybe a more recent example, like a Toy Story toy horse?
Yeah, toy horse. Yeah, like a tiny toy horse.
Where's your voice, Mary Jane?
My voice went up into the rafters of the space when we were at my sister Caroline's celebration for her life. And we all sang Sweet Caroline together, and the music wasn't working. So I had to lead the whole room in an a cappella rendition of Sweet Caroline. And we sang it so loudly, and it was so wonderful. And then the next day I woke up and I was like,
I mean, if there's going to be a reason to lose your voice, it's going to be to celebrate your sister as
Yeah.
the waves and thunder are crashing into the sides of that party and a rainbow is cutting through the clouds.
It was so amazing. I mean, just to have that event and have everyone gather and people come in from all over the world and people also beam in via Facebook from, like, we had friends in Australia and France and Quebec and Norway and people who flew in from everywhere. And it felt so cool. And that bomb cyclone came through.
Yeah.
Like, it lashed the entire West Coast, and it was so wild because Caroline had a list of things that she loved that we shared at the celebration. And one of those things was storms.
Right. And for everyone who's like, bomb cyclone, you had Seth Rogen's new weed strain at this? No, we had the weather phenomenon.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was so cool. It was truly, when everyone started showing up for the event and they were like, look out the window. And the space that we were at was on the edge of the water and this huge rainbow was across the bay. And then it really moved towards the center, the Maritime Center. And someone took a picture driving in and you could see where it ended from their vantage point, and it was right over the Maritime Center.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to that.
It was magical. Yeah. It felt like Caroline called the storm and the rainbows and was just right there, and we were singing for her. And so losing my voice isn't at all a bad thing, but I am a little hoarse.
Well, what up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
It's going beautifully. Welcome to Weed and Grub, everybody. This is a podcast about comedy,
Cannabis,
culture,
cooking,
calling shit out,
and celebrating.
Yeah. Fucking yes.
Celebrating
yes, it is.
all the things.
Even our guest today, Melissa Etheridge, is a celebration.
Oh my gosh. Seeing Melissa Etheridge perform live at a Cannabis Cup was one of the greatest moments of live music ever. And she does this cool thing at the end of every show where she takes a selfie. She calls it a melfie, where she turns the camera on herself and she captures everyone behind her celebrating. And she's one of the greatest live performers I've ever seen. She just electrifies and energizes everyone in the space. They all feel like just in it together, and it's a true celebration. So yeah, this is an episode about celebrating.
Absolutely. Also, next time we hang out with her on the pod, let's ask her how you can do more than one song for 2 minutes and maintain some kind of voice.
Yeah.
Because I can't even imagine, I thinking of her doing the tour that she's on right now.
Oh my God.
And doing night in, night out at theaters.
Yes.
Like, what's the trick? Do you know? There's got to be a trick.
Well, yeah, she's trained.
Oh.
And she also, she's just like, she's an icon. She's a rock icon. Like that growl, she's a storyteller with the sound of her voice more than any, female singer that I can really think of. Like, I've just loved her since the first time I heard her, which must have been when I was probably in high school. So what a cool thing to hang out with her on the pod. We got a short window with her because we had some weird technical difficulties, but we're hoping to get her back on the pod when she's off tour and she has a little more time.
Absolutely.
And we're dropping our conversation with her at the end of this fun app.
Absolutely. And stay tuned after our interview with her because we're dropping the new hit title song from her new album.
One Way Out.
So there you go. Moving on to food.
Oh, yes.
Can we talk about the spread?
Yeah, it's the most important part of that spread. It was like the family that makes up Caroline's Circle in Port Townsend showed up in full force.
Yeah, well, I do think this is the first celebration I've ever been to. Everyone I speak to, though, and I'd actually be curious for everyone listening, like, what is your spread at your celebration?
Yeah.
Because Caroline's was like so much pie, mussels, macaroni, meatballs. Like it was
Cod cakes.
Cod cakes.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I have never had a more full belly that was also a full heart. It was real.
It was so cool. And it was sort of the whole weekend because Friday night started with just like a small gathering of friends with an incredible lamb curry. That was like this huge, vat that could have fed, 40 people. It was amazing.
And I want to add to that the lamb, this goes back to Port Townsend and the idea of like sustainability, because Grondini, who got that, she just bought a whole lamb and then takes it to a local butcher in Washington, and they ask her how she wants it broken down, and then she picks all of the meat back up, chucks it in a freezer, and you've got like lamb for months.
It's amazing. And yeah, the lamb was on the bone in the curry, so I was like pulling out big pieces on the bone, and oh my gosh, it was so incredible.
Yeah, so take that, TikTok, with
Yeah.
your short rib burrito bullshit that's kind of played out because everyone's doing it now.
Probably doesn't even taste that good.
No, not like us sliding bones out of curry stews.
And then the next night, there was a gathering for all of the out-of-towners who were coming in at Walt's shop, my sister's partner's shop, and they had 2 grills going. They had salmon on one grill and tuna on another grill, and then our friend Joel Kawahara, who's an amazing fisherman, showed up with fresh poke that he made from tuna that he caught maybe that day.
Yeah.
And grilled oysters that he had plucked out of the Hood Canal.
Yeah.
And your potato salad, Mike. I
I
mean,
mean,
you made some friends that night.
I really did make some friends. There is no better feeling than when you bring a dish to a party, and as you check in on it, give it a little side eye. It's complete. It's like going down almost like your life in a Mortal Kombat game. It's the best.
Can you talk about it? Like,
Yeah.
tell what was that recipe?
Well, thank you, Mary Jane, because I thought you might find me insufferable at that party because I kept like interrupting and pulling you aside and being like, a little more potato salad was taken. Seems to be a hit. Kind of the talk of the party. Might have to bring it up tomorrow at the celebration. You were like, do not bring it up at the celebration. But it's an amazing recipe. It is from Bon Appetit, but we did give it our own little flavor and spin, as you always have to do.
Got to.
Can I also, before I get into the potato salad,
Yeah.
I'm going to draw it out a little bit more, but I will say most recipes are like not good recipes.
Yeah.
What's they're great baselines for your own profile and flavor, but I mean like you said, and I quote, I'm never going to follow a dressing recipe.
Never.
For a salad dressing, I'm
Never.
eyeballing that shit every time.
I will look at the ingredients in the recipe and follow the flavor profile, but I will always adjust it and add way more of certain things. Like the night with the lamb curry, I made a yogurt dressing, and I like tripled the garlic, tripled the lemon, tripled the dill.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can actually taste the flavor.
Yeah.
So in my potato salad, I doubled the potatoes. So it was 5 pounds of Yukon Golds, those soft, pillowy potatoes.
Buttery babies.
Buttery babies. Yeah, Yukon Gold.
Yeah.
Buttery babies.
Top potato.
And then a bucket load of salt into the water and leave that alone. And while that's cooking, because I doubled the recipe, it's what's 3/4 plus 3/4?
A 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1.5 cups of sour cream, and then the other half of that to equal 2 cups is mayonnaise. Very basic, very standard, and then a bucket load of dill. And then it called for a lot of thinly sliced red onion, but I dialed back the red onion because I love a bagel with cream cheese with red onion,
Yeah.
which I feel like is a like deconstructed potato salad in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Because it's starch and cream and slathers and
Yeah.
snaps.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know that I love red onion too much in a potato salad. I
Well,
think it
raw.
overpowers it all raw. Right. Even though you rinse it under water to take out some of the acidity, it's a
Yeah.
lot. And then it only called for 2 tablespoons of Dige, but as we all know,
Great poop, number 1 Dige. Actually, no.
What's
I'm
the
gonna
number 1
change
Dige now?
It's Mai.
That's right.
Maille. I think you and I have discovered that during the pandemic times. We have gone to Mai as the number 1 Dige. It was
Which-
great poop.
I have never pronounced because I'm way too nervous. So thank you, because I have been calling it mealy. the entire time. If you see this Dige on your shelf, it is in a clear glass bottle with a black and gold label.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it's always
good.
next to the Grey Poop. It kind of looks like it's trying to bite from the Grey Poop demographic a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
It's a similar, well, it's like, yeah, French in a jar with the similar colors and everything. But Maya's, make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Superior mustard.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you ride the coattails when you're in front of them? I don't know. So I added, I think probably like 6 tablespoons of that.
Ooh.
And because you want the snap.
Yep.
You want that sharp, like vinegary bite.
Yeah, that little zing that makes your eyes water a little bit.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then I think the key for me when you mix all of that up is then to put all of that in the fridge and just leave it alone.
Yep.
Because when the potatoes come out and they cool down and you save a cup of that potato starch water to loosen the mixture like you would any kind of pasta starchy dish, as those potatoes are still hot and they have all of that salt, like you're not giving any time for the flavors to like get to know each other before you're adding in this big boulder of starch that is going to kind of I don't know, it's like a wrecking ball through like a sensitive wall of deliciousness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you got to let that shit hang out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. I don't need tons of new friends all at once. Like, let me get to know 4 or 5 people and then bring in Chris Farley to like really kick it off.
That's so funny. You're making me think of like the timed challenges on, I was just watching the most recent episode of the Great British Bake Off, and they're trying to do these like incredibly complicated German biscuits in, 2 hours or whatever it is. And one of the guys is like, yeah, normally you would refrigerate this for days and then, put it into the oven. Like you would actually let it set because he was rolling these complicated patterns into it. And
right.
The whole thing just looked so difficult. I was like, how would you be able to ever try and execute this in 2 hours successfully? So I just think like, yeah, I don't like timed challenges on Great British Bake Off that don't give people enough time. And I want potato salad to hang out for a few hours.
Absolutely. And also, George, you picked the wrong cookie. What are you doing? This is a competition. It's not if you're going to have guts and be bold with flavors. Don't be bold with trying to like erase time. That's not how it works, especially in baking.
You can't be a time lord.
George Time Lord. But anyway, so, you take the potatoes out, smash them up. Once all the flavors mingle, fold, and then what I love, and when I put the dish on the table at the barbecue, you crumble sour cream and onion potato chips over the top with a little bit of extra onion and a little bit of extra dill. That way people know what's inside the potato salad by having it on top. What?
Chives. It was chives.
What am I saying?
Dill.
Which is interesting because I also almost confused chives for scallions. And I almost put in 40 scallions. Like I was still on Worst Cooks in America. I was like, well, if it's a tube and it's green, it's all the same, baby. And I like caught myself at the last minute. I almost added like 2 cups of scallions. Chives.
Scallions do look like giant chives. So, you're not far off.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ. Do you really want a huge ring of chive in your mouth?
Yes.
Or scallion. Oh,
I love
man.
scallions. I love it all. I'm an onion girl. Except for raw red onion. I think you made the right call on that one. That potato salad was fucking great.
Thanks for saving me, because now I'm super embarrassed because I don't know my herbs.
No, it was really fucking fantastic. And I saw some people like make their way over to you and like have conversations with you. In fact, I think I saw one woman put her arm up on the wall next to where you were standing and like block you from going anywhere.
Yeah, she cut me off from the party.
Yeah.
She sure did.
I watched that happen. I
Felt
was like,
all right.
oh, okay. All right.
A little head tilt and a hand on the wall always feels nice.
Just a snack talking about snacks. Mike Glazer.
That's so funny.
Winning him over with his fucking delicious cooking.
Hey, whatever. I loved it. So thank you for having me. It was a really great time.
Yeah.
And also thank you for trusting me to bring a dish that I was really excited to bring and trying to add something to the whole celebration. So thanks a lot, Mary Jane.
It was fantastic.
What am I even talking about? Like, I'm sitting in all my potato glory. Your key lime pies, if you were following me on Instagram, @GlazerBoohoohoo, I took a very long picture of all the pies from blueberry to French silk to banana cream. But Mary Jane, in all of her boldness, made 2 key lime pies, and they were also the first 2 pies that were gone from the table. So fucking props to you. What was that recipe?
Thank you. That was a double, so it was like a combination of a recipe that our friend Natalie had shared with me a while back, and honestly, the recipe that's on the bottle of, I can't remember the brand name of the key lime juice that my sister always used to buy, but it's Nellie's and somethings. And it's like a Florida key lime juice that you just buy in a bottle.
It's the St. Lunatics, right?
It's the what?
Nellie and the St. Lunatics?
Nellie and the St. Lunatics? What is that?
Do you know who Nellie is?
The rapper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't like the joke?
I don't know what it means.
I was just trying to help by saying Nellie and then the St. Lunatics, but now I've just derailed your entire key lime recipe when you gave me the space to explain my whole potato salad, and I'm embarrassed and I'm sorry.
I don't know what literally, it's like you're just saying words that are gobbledygook.
It's because when you said Nellie and something, so I tried to Mad Lib a joke and say, oh, it must be Nellie and the St. Lunatics
But who are
branch.
the St. Lunatics?
Oh, that's his group that he ran with.
What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ.
Not only is it a bad joke, but there's no reference for it, and that we're way off base.
We should just cut all that.
No, we
can't. I was like, what?
That's a lesson I have to learn for the future.
I'm like, yeah, I know who Nellie is, but I don't know enough to know that, so I'm sorry.
Of course. It's because he had a group.
Yes.
Even though he was obviously, based on your knowledge, and I would say most people's knowledge, the breakout star of the
Absolutely.
group. Absolutely. But there was a group called the St. Lunatics.
Ah, cool. No, that's not who makes this key lime juice. And it's Nellie and someone else. Anyway, the recipe on that bottle is super simple. It's sweetened condensed milk, egg yolks, a shit ton of key lime juice, obviously, and then I zest some key lime in. And then the tip that I took from Natalie's recipe was actually making the graham cracker crust, which she makes with like extra graham crackers, extra butter, less sugar, more salt. So she sort of like dialed in the graham cracker crust as to her specifications, and then used the Nellie's and not the St. Lunatics bottle for the pie filling recipe. And it's so simple, and it is the most delicious pie.
It's so good. And with the crust, do you blind bake the crust before you add
Yes.
You do?
Well, blind baking means baking weighted, right?
Yeah, so you would put like beans over the top so that
Yeah.
it's blind to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
no. So it's not blind baking, but you do press it into a pie plate and then bake that for like 12 minutes, just until it's fragrant and your whole kitchen smells of that like graham crackery, wonderful, fragrant, just most delicious. It's the most homey smell in the world.
It really is. And I also loved your move of making them the day before so that they could just chill in the fridge for
Right?
almost like 18 hours.
Not Great British baking off the Time Lord nonsense with those pies.
I'm trying to make 24-hour pie in
Yes.
6 minutes.
Hello, I am a Time Lord with pie.
Did you ever see the show growing up with Vicky? She was a robot, and it was like a family sitcom with Vicky the robot. Oh no, I'm confusing two different shows. Let me use Saved by the Bell as an
Okay.
example. Did you ever see when Zach Morris would freeze time on Saved by the Bell and then like walk towards camera and everybody's frozen, and he would say a couple quips about how things are going and then change everyone's fate and then go time in, and Saved by the Bell would start again?
No, I watched Degrassi.
Oh, you watch Canadian Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. And the original one, not the one that Drake was on, but the one before that. Like, I was watching Degrassi in the late 90s, the late 80s, which was when I was in junior high. And then those kids grew up to go on to be like the teachers and parents in the version of Degrassi that Drake was in. So I'm like back a couple of generations. Saved by the Bell was kind of after my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it sounds like it probably kind of bit from Degrassi in a way. Like maybe there was like
definitely.
almost like the British Office, American Office kind of a vibe where they might have seen something like Degrassi and been like, let's Americanize this with some other
Maybe
kids.
so, for sure. I mean, I think all high school shows are just high school shows about, kids having fucking issues or whatever.
That's a
but
good point.
The original Degrassi was, it was pretty fucking great.
Man,
Yeah.
I would actually like to watch an episode of it. I'm
was great.
very curious what 80s Canadian teen comedies were.
Yeah, well, it was like, they definitely were very funny, but then they also tried to address a lot of issues. It was like very much that sort of after school stuff where it was like, oh no, Spike got pregnant. What's she going to do? Don't get pregnant, kids.
Although we do have universal health care and a seemingly reasonable policy when it comes to women's rights.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But there was, like they definitely addressed drugs in a way of like that Dare era where it was like, very, very scare tactics and all that kind of stuff. I think that wouldn't hold up, especially now for us. Like watching it would be like, well, that's some fucking bullshit and propaganda. But a lot of the other issues that they tried to address were really cool and well done. And those actors were just like normal looking kids. It wasn't very like shiny or, trying to be sort of aspirational in any way. It was really trying to show you like, these are real kids who might be like kids that and going through things that, we're just going to try and show you so that you feel like you have, someone to look to. It was cool.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, that was the original. I'm so sorry. I don't know how interesting that is, but
it's interesting to me because I don't know that I would ever think to watch a 1980s Canadian sitcom.
Who would?
Right, exactly. Unless I heard about it. And now what else? I mean, there's only so many men doing smash burgers on YouTube videos that I can find before it's time to branch out and try and grow a little bit.
I think, again, though, you say sitcom, and it very distinctly was not a sitcom. Like, there was that 80s era of shows that were, like, definitely funny with a lot of funny elements, and they were meant to be entertaining and enjoyable, but they addressed hard-hitting issues. Like, what was the show where they did that whole fucking arc about pedophilia, and they had like a 2-episode arc where it was like this
An
guy.
American show?
Yeah, it was an American show. I'll have to look it up maybe while you're talking, and you can vamp a little and I can look it up. But there was like a really hard hitting
Was it
show.
Punky Brewster?
No, it was before that. It was, I want to say it was not Family Ties. Anyway, I don't know. But there were just like great 80s shows that were trying to address some very serious stuff for kids in a way where it was like you could maybe watch it with your parents. You know what I mean? Like that's what they were trying to do, is like have a piece of entertainment that could open doors to conversations, because nobody knows how to talk to kids,
No,
Everyone's
well, not
so
the way
terrified.
TV does. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll look it up and I'll try and put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the word pedophilia and let someone click on that. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think that's a good look for us.
What else is popping?
So many.
You want to, speaking of key lime,
Yeah.
how about this transition?
Okay.
What about lemon sour diesel?
Hey,
Huh?
a lake grade mention.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, we just had such a good time making a reel for lake grade for Halloween. I have a costume where I dress up as a baked potato.
Yeah, you do.
And I've made an appearance. I was on stage at your show, actually, as a baked potato with a confetti cannon, doing some bits. So the baked potato is on our Instagram, Weed and Grub is currently down. We're trying to get it back up, but at Weed and Grub Pod is our backup account. If you want to give us a follow there, we'll keep that going for the time being.
Absolutely. And it's really cool that Lake Grade wanted us to like work with them, because I am a stressed out human being.
Oh, man.
And I cannot stop biting my nails no matter how hard I try and how many different types of remedies, from putting hot sauce on them to just talking it out with Peter, my therapist. I can't stop biting my goddamn nails. But I'll tell you what, Lake Grade helps me calm down, dial it in, focus up, and feel happy about my life. So I just want to say thank you, Lake Grade, and thank you for your sativa specifically.
Yeah, the lemon sour diesel like puts the gas in our podcasting tank. It's fucking great. It's got this like really nice sweet kind of citrusy aroma. It's got like nice notes of earth and pepper. It's sun grown, so you can kind of taste the terroir. And they're great folks, and they give back to the community through a couple of initiatives. So I don't know if you're in California and you want to check them out, you can buy them at Sweet Flower dispensaries. They're on Ease.
Yeah.
And they're a supporter of our work, and we love them. And so if you love us, please support the people who also love us.
100%.
Yeah.
Shout out, Lake Grade.
Shout out.
And if you have any suggestions on how I can quit biting my nails, please, because that shit is hardwired deep inside my cerebellum.
Gloves.
All the time gloves.
All the time gloves, 100%.
Oh, I love that.
Like maybe taped around your wrists. So you just look real chill.
You were super chill. Short sleeve shirts.
Yeah. And gloves.
And gloves.
And you're just never going to have another person put their arm up to talk to you at a party. They'll be like, oh, that guy with the like.
He's either leaving or coming from a murder. There's no other reason that he's wearing gloves all the time.
Yeah, that duct tape glove look is.
Wait, what kind of glove are you picturing? Are you picturing like doctor gloves or woolly mittens?
I'm picturing like light cotton gloves that you would sleep in. Like if you're a hand model and you have to take really good care of your hands and your cuticles, you like oil up your hands with cuticle oil and moisturizer.
Yeah.
And then you sleep in gloves. This is what these people do to protect their beautiful skin. So we could just get you some nice cotton gloves and you're going to look great.
Well, Christmas is right around the corner. And so if you want to get me some gloves that I'll be happy to return as long as you kept the receipt,
Yep.
let me know.
Great. I do think it would stop you from biting your nails, though.
Yeah, it totally would.
Yeah.
It would also stop me from going outside, talking with other people.
Yeah.
Opening my phone because it doesn't recognize my fingerprint.
Oh, yeah, that would be one nightmare. Oh, okay, never mind.
But my nails are long and luscious.
Oh, great.
Oh, man. Well, do you want to get to some news? Oh, wait. can I share some news?
Yes.
Before we get to our news?
Is it what I think it is?
It is.
Okay, cool.
Speaking of a place that I do not want to wear gloves because I am hoping to make new friends.
Yes.
We are going to be at Outside Lands this weekend in San Francisco.
Under the Golden Gate Bridge in Golden Gate Park, watching all sorts of cool people perform, including...
Me.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of the biggest stand-up gig I've ever been booked for. So if you are in San Fran, and also there's going to be live streams. I'm not sure if I'll also be live streamed, but I will be at Grasslands, and on Friday I'm hosting the entire event at Grasslands, and then on Saturday I'm doing a half hour at 4:30.
It's so cool. I mean, I'm so excited. This will be my first time going to Outside Lands, and Grasslands is the sort of cannabis-friendly portion of the whole festival, which has so many stages and so many headliners and so much happening. And this is this really neat 420 friendly area where they're going to have activations. Some of our friends will be there as well. They've got a comedy stage. They're going to have snacks. I hope they have some beanbag chairs that I can lie on while I listen to you perform comedy. I'm sorry if I'm going to be lying down while you're performing, but I think, if I'm
on your stomach or on your back?
If I'm in my baked potato costume, I will be on my back. You'll just know I'm there. You maybe won't hear me laughing. I'll just be like applauding with my eyelids,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know. It's so cool. Like, I've always wanted to be a part of a festival, like a huge festival like this. So I'm like really proud, and it means a lot. So, shout out to Outside Lands. Hope to see you there. Shout
out to you for getting booked on that, Mike. It's a huge deal, and I'm so stoked that I can be there to support and also ride those coattails, I'll be like, see that snack over there? Tell him to get me some snacks.
No, you are not the gray poop to my mealy.
Oh, okay.
We are both mealy.
Okay. Like
we can hold each other.
We are mealy vanilly.
Damn, my St. Lunatics fell flat, mealy vanilly.
Well, you're kind enough to laugh at it, so I appreciate that. Thank you. You're always willing to give me a laugh, even though it's not necessarily right or funny.
No, we're mealy vanilly. I love it.
Okay.
That's great. Let's get to the news, Mary Jane.
Let's do it.
Oh, we do have to talk about OCB, though.
That's right.
The Grub Gazette is presented by OCB Rolling Papers, the largest rolling paper brand in the world, crafted naturally since 1918.
OCB offers a full line of plant-to-puff papers made with sustainable fibers farmed from within a 500-kilometer radius of their facility in France, which is powered by 100% green energy.
In 2020, OCB rolled out America's first ultra-thin, slow-burning bamboo rolling papers and cones. They're even burning, no tear, GMO-free, and vegan.
Not all rolling papers are created equal. OCB offers a premium smoking experience that we call Harmony on High.
Can you hit a note? Ask for OCB wherever you buy your papers and sample the entire line of products. Plus, visit OCBUSA.com and follow OCB on Instagram at OCB_USA.
That's right.
I'd like to add, it is Christmas coming up. This is
Yeah.
a perfect stocking stuffer for you or anyone that you care about. And to just think about something that's been around since 1918, I'm kind of proud to rep them because they have the kind of staying power that I hope to have one day. And also the way that they're able to change with the times and harness green energy. Like, this is a brand that not only cares about the earth, but cares about what you put in your body. So thank you to OCB.
Yeah, so dope.
Yeah,
That's
what's our
awesome.
news this week?
Well, it's about another thing that grows out of the earth, of course, because it's the plant that we love so much. And the news is that New York is going to soon allow homegrown medical cannabis legally. So, of course, people have been growing their own in New York all this time because it hasn't been, allowed under the law. And now under the new Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, which is the law that legalized cannabis for adult use in New York, it also granted permission for home growers.
That's so huge. It's the biggest deal.
It's a big deal because, medical cannabis has been legal in New York since 1918.
Since 1918.
No, since 2014, but it's been difficult to access compared to other states. And so it's a big deal now that people are going to be able to grow their own medicine as the state starts to bring retail stores online for adult use consumption as well. Because, under an adult use market, some people who use medical cannabis will just go to a dispensary and just say I'm 21 and I don't necessarily need to have that medical marijuana recommendation. But one of the things with a medical cannabis program staying active in a state that has adult use laws is that the medical cannabis can be less expensive. And then especially growing your own is so important. If you don't have access to a dispensary where you are, and if you don't have the budget to, be able to afford the super high taxes that can come along with cannabis that's available for retail, growing your own is the way to go. So this is really cool because it will be legal and you'll be able to cultivate up to 6 plants.
That's so much. That's a great yield.
If you're good at it, it's a lot.
If you're good at it, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's also so important because as we keep talking about federal decriminalization and how we are all going to get so many fucking people out of prison who do not deserve to be there. The idea of home grow puts power back in the public's hands in a way that Amazon and Charles Koch and all of these other people are always trying to take away from us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important as prohibition finally draws to a close. I mean, we're seeing it end hopefully soon, that we don't allow the big companies to control cannabis entirely. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who are just never going to choose to grow their own because it's not easy. Like if you've ever grown weed and you're good at it, you know how much it takes.
Yeah.
It's not just throwing it in a pot under a light. It's incredible to really dial it in and get good weed from a home grow is an incredible art. Excuse me. But it's just such an important law to have to maintain that provision, to be able to grow your own, to keep it free and, safe and fair access for all is the most important thing when it comes to cannabis. Absolutely.
And I learned a lot when you were growing and you got some kind of neem oil. I learned about neem oil. And so just the idea of how sensitive the plant is, how you can grow it, trim it. Hand trimming is so therapeutic. You want to talk about something that gets you into a Zen state. Talk about trimming a bud.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And then you can use the whole plant that you grew to make a tincture out of the trim. And then you can use the bud to roll into a J with a friend. Having whole plant at your house the same way Grondini has a whole lamb in her freezer.
Yeah.
It's a really sustainable way to live, and it's really beautiful.
When I have the space someday, I would love to get a little garden really going because that was a cool experience to grow my one plant, and I got it was called an easy pot. And it was sort of set up for success in the sense that it had all of the nutrients already in it and, all that kind of stuff. But I'd really love to be able to learn more about it and experiment with different strains and different nutrients and do all that kind of stuff on my own to figure out what works for me. So I don't know. Shout out New York. It's really exciting. Some of the East Coast genetics are my favorites. I mean, sour diesel is like that, that New York strain that I smoked when I was in New York for, all of my High Times family. That's what they always had going. And, they just had the Chem Dog comp at the Astor Club.
Yeah.
Which is another strain that's super popular in New York. And I mean, they have all of the new genetics too. Obviously, they're up on what's going on, but I love some of those old school East Coast strains so much. So congrats, New York, on being able to grow your own for medical purposes.
Very, very cool. That's a good news story.
Yeah.
I'm feeling real positive and happy now. Thank you, Mary Jane.
No, well, it's important too because Melissa Etheridge is a medical cannabis activist and patient and longtime user. She started using cannabis after her friend David Crosby suggested it when she was recovering from chemotherapy treatments. Mm-hmm. And she found so much use with it. And then since then, she's been such an activist and she tells us more about it. I want to talk for her. But it's just an important thing. Medical cannabis and access to that medical cannabis is super, super important.
So good. Well, let's get to Buds of the Week so that we can get to Melissa and give your voice a rest.
That would be great. I would love to take a couple of days off from speaking, which I've never done before in my life.
Okay. How about let me go first and give you a 30-second rest.
Great.
My Bud of the Week this week is Walt Trisdale. I'm not sure how to describe Walt except for a 6'6" hulking man with the biggest, warmest heart I've ever met in my life. Thank you for bringing him into my life through Caroline. And I just wanted to share a story as Bud of the Week this week. We had the barbecue in his garage. And it is a huge garage with huge diesel engines, and it's incredible. And we were on our way to the barbecue, and all of a sudden, Mary Jane's car that she was borrowing was dead in the parking lot of the grocery store, dead. We have all the plastic cups in the back. We have all of the groceries. We have everything for the barbecue back there. She calls Walt, says, "Can you please come?" He goes, "Yep, got it. Let me just grab 2 tools." He brings one small wrench, he brings one big wrench. He pops the hood, he like goes boop, boop, pop, pop, boop, boop, doesn't even look at it, goes try it now. And it starts right away. And I'm like, that is the kind of man I want to be. God damn, Walt. So not only did he save the day, but he brought 2 tools because it could only be one of 2 things. And he knew exactly what it is. And it's just impressive. I could go on and on, but I'll save stories for another time.
Yeah, Walt is the fucking best. He, our friend said that over the weekend, she was like, he is so dignified and reserved and vulnerable all at the same time. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting to see it from your perspective, because I just think of him as like, he's family to me, you know?
Yeah.
But to see him from the outside, like eye of like, yeah, he is all of those things. He's also very funny, and he plays the fiddle, and he knows how to electrify a pickle, which is a very cool trick.
Is that a real sentence?
It is a real sentence. It was one of the things that he did. Like when I first met him years and years and years ago, when he was just starting to date my sister, and he plugged a live wire into a socket, and then he plugged the other end into a pickle and said, turn off the lights. And it was like an electrified pickle, an electric glowing pickle.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's awesome. The
Blew my
electric
mind.
Walt Trisdale and the electric pickle.
That's right.
And also, I'm not sharing his IG because I don't think he wants anyone following him.
I don't even know if he's on there.
Yeah, that's also what makes him so cool. So that is my butt of the week. Shout out to Walt.
My butt of the week is Amy Grondin, who is another Port Townsend dear friend. As you referred to her earlier, we call her Grondini. Amy Grondin is at AJ Grondin on Instagram. She is a fisherman. She is a dear friend. She is a kick-ass event producer. She pulled together all of those pies and that whole feast for the celebration with the help of the Port Townsend family in a way that I don't know anyone else who could have done it with such grace and style. She's absolutely amazing. And she also currently has Mr. Archie Moo under her care.
Yeah.
And it's great. She just texted me and she was like, I'm so glad I have the pooch. He's great for dog therapy for a couple weeks. And I was like, that is so nice to have my little hairy heart with someone who loves him, I think, as much as I do. So shout out to Amy. I love you so much. You're my family.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Our VIB, our very important bud.
Melissa Etheridge, I mean, needs no introduction, right? She's a rock icon. She's, as we said, a longtime medical cannabis patient and activist. She has a foundation in her name, the Etheridge Foundation, which supports scientific research into the causes and effects of opioid addiction. And she's currently on tour.
Check her out all over the country. Literally all over the country.
She's everywhere. You can go to melissaetheridge.com for more information and dates. And stick around after the chat that we had with Melissa to hear her title track from her latest album, One Way Out.
Banger.
Yeah.
Banger of a person, banger of an album.
I can't wait to sit down with her in real life soon when she's off tour, and we can just hear more about her incredible life and views and everything.
I'll bring that potato salad.
The greatest. You make that potato salad, I'll make a key lime pie.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Without further ado, here is our interview with
Melissa Etheridge.
We're so glad you could join us. Thank you.
Right. No, my pleasure. Thank you.
We would have been able to do it in person. We're like following you from state to state. We were just in St. Louis. You were just in St. Louis. Now you're in Texas. We are headed to Austin.
Isn't it crazy to be traveling around at these times?
It is. It's so crazy. How is the tour going? How does it feel to be back on the road?
Well, we started in August, and all of us were like, we like just crawling out of a hole that we'd been in for a year and a half, and of course, it's been so hard on the business, just, from all aspects of the business, not just myself and my technicians and bandmates, but, to the theaters and arenas and the people and the restaurants around there. So everyone's really glad and grateful that, that live music is coming back. And we all are trying to be very mindful and, follow the protocols and, whatever it is in that local area to really, really do that and take care of ourselves. But then when the lights go down, the show starts, man, there's just nothing like the exchange of energy between an audience and, musicians. I think it's something we've done throughout humanity, and I really missed it. It's just been great.
I can't imagine how great people feel to see you back on stage shredding and with your new album. Can you tell us a little bit about your new album, One Way Out?
Yeah, that's fun because that was actually a project I did a few years ago of songs that I did not put on my earlier albums. So I had at one point in the early like 2013, I thought I was going to put a box set together of CDs, but now nobody even buys CDs anymore. So I had recorded these old songs for that, and so I had these songs kind of in my vault, and BMG said, "Hey, do you want to put out a record during this time?" And we need it like right now. I think there was people had stopped recording, so they kind of ran out of stuff, and so I said, you know what, I've got these, and we put them on, and then I put 2 live songs that I had in the vault also, and it's just they're from my earlier time period, back in my 20s, early 30s, where the only thing I ever did was to write songs. So they're these really rocking songs that really fit in well in the show. So I'm loving it, and the fans are loving it, and it's really fun.
I love As Cool As You Try, but I was also hoping you could talk a little bit about Life Goes On, because as a live track, are you kidding me?
That's fun. That recording was made at the Roxy in 2002. I was trying songs out for my Lucky album that came out the next year, and I had this idea of this song looking back on the 80s, and kind of being a very young adult, early 20s in the 80s, and what that was like to just be part of that whole thing, all the shoulder pads and mullets and weird, makeup and stuff of the 80s, and looking back on it. And now I have to change, because the lyric was originally, when I woke up this morning, it was 2002. Now I have to say, I woke up this morning, it was 2022. So, it's this crazy thing. But the audience really enjoyed all the lyrics to it. And I actually haven't done it live yet here, but I think within actually the next couple of shows, I'm going to try Life Goes On.
Well, we have to ask you, because our podcast is Weed and Grub, about Etheridge Botanicals.
Yeah, I went through breast cancer in 2004, 17 years cancer-free, thank you. The only way that I got through that was with cannabis, and this was back in the early 2000s when it was medicinal in California, but you couldn't find it anywhere. It's like, you can, so all the places, they were still getting raided by, the feds and everybody. So I really felt like cannabis was something that everybody going through what I was going through should have the choice to use cannabis to relieve their pain, to help their appetite, to relieve their depression, to help them sleep. Just all these things that they gave me chemo, then handed me a handful of 5 different pills to take that all have side effects that you have to take this other pill for, and it was just ridiculous. I said, no, I'm just going to smoke, and I wasn't even that heavy of a smoker. Until I started, seeing just how, just what great medicine it was, and how not only it helped with cancer, but it helped with my own personal journey with my body and my emotional state, and helped lower my stress and help get healthier. So I started looking around to like, hey, there's got to be some really great people trying to, make this attainable. And that's when I got involved with the cannabis industry and the cannabis movement, and just found beautiful people up in Northern California who had been, of course, the legacy people that have been, making this amazing medicine for years, and are, struggling to get into the mainstream of this now, yet keep the quality of, the organic aspect of what this medicine is, and how to treat it, and how to keep it as a whole plant. It's not a big money maker like our Canadian overlords that come in and buy up everything because they have the federal backing. but it is something worthwhile to me to really keep the integrity of this beautiful medicine in Northern California.
You were a registered medical cannabis patient when you were crossing into North Dakota from Canada and were stopped by law enforcement. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
What was that experience like for you?
It's funny because it's not like I didn't know that. I was actually told that this was a really difficult stop. And, when we pulled in, the canine unit was already there. It's like they knew we were coming because you have to tell them in advance, because of the carnet and stuff. And I saw that and went, oh, well, this is going to be a long day. Because not because I had a whole huge, massive stash with me, but because I knew that I would not be able to reach a place to get cannabis for a few days. And so I had one joint on me to last me those days so that I could sleep, because I use it on the road to sleep. Mm-hmm. And and boy, they tore our bus apart. They hauled in people for CBD, tinctures.
Wow.
And so they ended up dropping everybody's charges but myself, just because myself and my sound man. Mm-hmm. And because they needed to make a statement or whatever. So, and it was fine. The funny thing was the North Dakota had just passed their medicinal law like a month before that. Mm-hmm. And so with the border guys, they got out there. They're loaded with their guns and their dogs and their and we're sitting there in the office, and they have to call the local sheriff to have him come out and arrest me. And so the local sheriff, he's the nicest guy on earth, and he's unbelievably embarrassed that he has to arrest me. And he's so kind and so thoughtful, and there came a point when, and I was not, and I was like, dude, you're just doing your job. Believe me, that no problem. I understand this. I'm 100% aware of this. You're doing your job. And he was so nice. And he said, I don't know how the question came up, but North Dakota was my last state that I had to be in. I have now been in all 50 states in America. And he said, have you ever been in North Dakota before? I said, no, sir. This is actually my first time here, and it's my 50th state. And I was celebrating, and he just dropped his head to the table, and he goes, I'm so sorry. And so it held us up. It's a pain in the neck, whenever I cross the border. And, I of course I didn't spend any time in jail or anything. He just arrested me. And then I had to spend money to get lawyers to go through the system. And it's a real waste of, just time and energy and money for something that's really got to change,
Yeah. Well, we have a couple minutes left with you, and our podcast is Weed and Grub, so we gotta talk food. How's it being on the road? I think you changed your diet as you were becoming cancer-free, so what's your snack game like? What's your food, lunch, dinner scene? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm, especially when I'm on the road, I consider myself like an athlete, that I have to keep my body in a certain shape, in a certain alkaline level, to where I don't have inflammation, and cannabis always helps with that. But out on the road, food wise, my wife and I, we're both out here together, and we start our day with smoothies. It's a frozen fruit smoothie, and we've got a protein powder, and then we've got paleo greens that we put in there with it, so we get our greens and our stuff. And then we also have a water that we fortify with Quinton, which is a seawater with sodium and potassium and magnesium and all this stuff. So we keep that going. And then the foods, I'm a pescatarian on the road, so I get a lot of salmon out here. I eat a lot of salmon. And then we try to when we do have people cooking for us, like last night in Tulsa, we had this awesome chef who made a wonderful broccoli chickpea curry with salmon, and then he had a cauliflower rice, and that's always nice when you can get really like quality organic, vegan, or at least vegetarian food, and sometimes we have to order from restaurants, so sometimes we get a piece of salmon and a salad and a baked potato, and that's fine, But it's great being out here. Sometimes on days off, we try to, whatever city we're in, we try to go to the either the vegan restaurant or we look for female chefs. We've met so many amazing female chefs out there, but like the local cuisine is always really fun to check out.
That's awesome. Well, looking at everything you've done with your advocacy, your music, your whole body of work, you bring people together. It's so great that you're on the road again so people can come see you and have that experience of being in a selfie with you at the end of your show.
A Melfi.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Melfi.
Yeah, Melfi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all that you do, my friends. Thank you.
100%.
Wonderful. We'll catch you on the road.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
They say you can run but you can't hide. I'd like to see how far I'd get, maybe if I tried. I tied angels to my feet, I'm flying down the street with the devil inside. This morning, had a fire in my brain. One good look at you, I'd say you were just this side of sane. You can scream and you can shout, but there is only one way out. There's only one way out. You can scream and you can shout, but there is only one way out.